So when I said I was going to speak here, and they said, yes, you can speak here, I was like, oh shit, I've actually got to write a slide deck then. So being a web guy, I first went off to Cloud9 IDE. Who's actually used Cloud9? It's a hosted IDE for those that haven't used it, and it allows you to basically do your development in the browser. It's all based on JavaScript. It runs on Node.js under the hood. And so I've spun it up, I've logged into my account, and I've gone, I want to create a new project called WDYK, and I'm going to use Git as my repository. Yay, this is what I get. It's a lovely little IDE, exactly the same thing as you would expect when you're working on your desktop or your Mac. I'm a desktop. Seems to be one of the few people here that actually does that. But as you would expect, it's exactly what you would get on a desktop from an IDE. You've got a big text editor, and you've got a big place where you've got the list of files and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the really cool thing is it's got a command line down the bottom, similar if you've got like Vim and stuff like that. So from here, I've just gone open readme.md, which is the only file that I've got in my repository. And yay, I've got an editor. I can start changing this file and do all the stuff that I want to do with it. You remember that I said that I was using Git at the start? Well, it's actually running Git, and I can run this entirely from within my browser from this command line that I've got. So I run git status, I can see that I've changed a particular file, I can run a git commit, and I can commit this file in, and you'll see that, yay, I've actually changed my file, it's been committed, and it's all within a source control repository, all done within the browser. Said this was running on top of Node, so because it's running on top of Node, I've got access to the standard things you would get through Node, such as npm. So I've created a package.json file, and I've put in a couple of dependencies. So I've put in Express and Jade, because I'm going to be building an Express site to run these slides. Run npm, and bam, it goes off and downloads all the things that I wanted out of it, and they are now available. So I can go across and I can start creating some Jade templates, writing up my slides and putting in a whole bunch of screenshots that you're seeing here. I can go ahead and I can create a whole bunch of Express code that's going to start my website and make sure that it's running my slide deck and all those kind of fun things. See, it's got some IntelliSense highlighting and all the stuff that you kind of want from an IDE. It understands that this is a JavaScript file. The next thing I want to be able to do is actually want to test this thing. I mean, I'm writing code. I just don't want to blindly push it into a production system or anything. So I can do this all from Cloud9 as well. I create a run definition. So it's one of the little tabs down the left-hand side. Tell it which file I want to execute, give it a name so I can use it later. Tell it which version of Node I want to run. Do I want 4 or 6? Kick that off, and you'll see that, yay, I actually have my slide deck running. So slideception. The next thing, I want to share these slides with everyone because I'm a really good guy that wants everyone to have copies of my slides. So you might have heard this company. It's called GitHub. Yes? Yeah. Cool. It's like 2 people that have heard of it. It's shit marketing they've got. But you probably know what I'm going to do now. I create a new repository on GitHub. Yay. Now I go back to Cloud9, and because I'm running Git under the hood of Cloud9 and doing it all from the browser, I just type git remote add, and then paste in the thing to my remote repository, and there we go. I've got a new repository that's been added. I can do a git push, and boom, it's all back up onto my Git repository. And this is all done from the browser. I haven't left Chrome yet. This icon you might not recognize. If anyone recognizes it, feel free to shout out the name. Yes, I got 2 names. That's Travis CI. So this is a continuous integration platform for Node, Ruby, Python, Node, Ruby, PHP, Erlang, and probably something else, I'm not quite sure. But I'm going to make the claim that I'm the first person that has written unit tests against my slide deck. Just because I actually, the number of times that I stuff up writing Express routes, so I'm unit testing my slides to make sure that this thing's actually going to work. So I do some refactoring, I pull out all my routes and I put them in a separate file, and then I'm going to include that back in. See that I do include it to the, requires into my libs folder, and can start up, and there we go, there's my routes. And I edit my package.json file, and I put in a new requirement that I'm going to use Jasmine Node as my unit testing framework underneath, and I start writing a test runner thing for Jasmine. And then I create a new run command within Cloud9, and yeah, I can actually see that I've refactored all my application, and you've got this new hierarchy in my project file. So I've got my refactored routes, I've got a test section area down there. I've got my test.js file that I can execute. I can create I can create some unit tests. This is actually what I created, and it's all in my repository. Created some fake versions of Express that I'm going to be passing in so I can test my routes are actually working, that I am actually using the Jade engine, because I mean, if I change that, the whole thing's just going to fall apart. And then still from Cloud9, I've been able to actually execute those tests. And you'll see a whole bunch of green things. Yay! What's this got to do with Travis? Well, now that I've got all these unit tests and I can push that up to GitHub, I log into Travis CI. It integrates directly with GitHub, so I log straight in and you'll see it's pulled up a couple of my GitHub projects that I've already linked in and some projects that I haven't linked into Travis. And I grabbed some information from here, particularly the token, jump back across to GitHub and to the post commit hooks. So here I chuck in information and now I failed my build, yay! So this is what happens when you push a failed build up to Travis CI, up to GitHub. Travis CI will pick that up, it'll deploy it on the build server, it'll run it, it'll execute it, and it will fail because I forgot to tell it to run as Node, it's running as Ruby. It's not really useful when you're running a Node app. Then proceeded to send me an email to tell me that I'd broken this while I'm writing my slide deck to present this talk right now, and yay, I got an email to tell me that. Well, I fixed that and I told it it was going to be running in Node, and here you go, it's tested it, it's run it twice, it's run against Node 4 and Node 6. Yay, and then it sent me an email, it's given me an output window, and you see down the bottom I've got my tests that have been run, and see all the processes that it went through, that it installed Node and made sure it was the correct version, and it's run NPM and it's installed all my dependencies and yada, yada, yada. And then proceeded to send me an email to tell me that I'd fixed my build. Yay, because I hadn't actually realized by taking several screenshots. Finally, I wanted to deploy this to Heroku because, well, no talk would be complete without deploying into Heroku and making sure that the slides are available for everyone to grab at a later point. And I can, again, do this from Cloud9. So I've gone into the deploy tab of Cloud9, I've clicked the little plus button where the green arrow is saying, go click here. It links directly into my Heroku account because I've set that stuff up, and it'll give you some easy prompts to set all that stuff up. Lists all my Heroku apps that I've already got there, or I can create a new one. It also integrates with NODE or Azure if you're a Microsoft guy. And it will say, here you go, here's a new deployment area, and I can have as many of these as I want, so I can deploy to staging environments, production environments, testing environments, everything directly from within Cloud9. Tells me some information about it. And because this is running on Node, and Node needs this proc file to tell it what it's actually doing, it will tell me that I haven't included that yet. So here we go. If you want to include that proc file, tries to include it, actually fails. I'm not quite sure why it fails. It just failed to detect that I had a Node app or something, but it's probably some reason why this happens. Go in, I create my proc file, I tell it the web and Node web.js, and that's what I want to run. And then I click the deploy button again, and woo, it's deployed into Heroku. It's installed dependencies and done all that fun stuff, and now it's available at the web URL that is on this final slide. Yay! And that is what I know, that I can do everything that I want as a web developer directly from the browser. I have built my site, I've deployed it to a source control, I've done CI, and I've deployed it live. Thank you.